Scheels, the gigantic sporting goods emporium in Sparks, Nevada, has granted my request to talk with a former U.S. president right here inside the store. I do have a number of questions. It is a rare opportunity because that former U.S. president, Thomas Jefferson, died in 1826. But I am told that President Jefferson moves and talks inside the store. My questions concern the Lewis and Clark expedition, the first transcontinental expedition to the Pacific coast, sponsored by the United States. I'm going to be asking questions about if Meriwether Lewis and William Clark presented performance problems in carrying out President Jefferson's instructions.
As it is impossible for us to foresee in what manner you will be received by those people, whether with hospitality or hostility, so is it impossible to prescribe the exact degree of perseverance with which you are to pursue your journey.
President Jefferson, I know that perseverance is an important characteristic in employees to whom you delegate a task, but I have seen instances in which perseverance turns into a destructive stubbornness. What are your thoughts about that, sir?
Small parties. But if a superior force, authorized or not authorized by a nation.
What are the best ways, Mr. President, for a leader to clearly communicate expectations to those that leader supervises?
In the loss of yourselves, we should lose also the information you will have acquired.
Now, as you can see, my interactions with President Jefferson were one-way in flexibility. What President Jefferson was saying to me was in no way related to what I was saying to President Jefferson. And that's to be expected from an automated figure. But when you are dealing with a real human being and there's an employee performance problem, you want to go one much better than an automated talking president. You want a thorough back and forth discussion to explore what's happening and then come up with a way to correct it. There is a story that is told of a supervisor who was assigned to work under a manager. Albert, the new supervisor, had recently retired from the United States Navy. So the manager was quite surprised at how frequently Albert was late to start his shift. Now, Albert was a valued employee once he showed up. He was conscientious, he had a great deal of technical knowledge that he was pleased to share with customers and with other staff. But this tardiness had become much more than a minor nuisance. Other employees, including those in the group that Albert supervised, were complaining. So the manager realized he needed to take some action. He needed to talk with Albert. He decided to do it, starting out with a question, realizing this would be a way to have that back and forth dialogue begin. So he called Albert aside, because you never want to do this sort of thing in front of a group of other employees or on the sales floor. And he said to him in a supportive way, with respect, concern, and empathy, Albert, I don't know that much about your background, but I know you were in the military, and I do know that the military places great importance on rules and rituals and teamwork. So I'm curious, what would your workers say to you if you were late showing up to be on duty? Albert smiled slyly. He said, well, most days they would say, good day, Admiral. Now, it did not take a great deal of back and forth, as you see, with one well-formed question. The manager was able to find out what was going on. In this case, it was unclear expectations from the manager and inadequate self-management skills on the part of Albert, the associate. And it may be that same sort of thing with you, that with just one or a few well-directed questions, you can settle the issue, you can decide what needs to be done beyond that. You will not need to go around and around. But sometimes you will want to go around and around, as if talking presidents and an incredible selection of items were not enough. Here at Reno Sparks Scheels is a Ferris wheel a 65-foot tall, 16-car Ferris wheel completely inside the store. Standing next to this Ferris wheel reminds me to remind you of the importance of considering cycles of time when you're handling employee performance problems. Employees, associates, being people, go through cycles, paycheck cycles, anniversaries of special events in that person's life, daily cycles in which the employee is more active at certain times of the day than at others. So in analyzing a performance problem, pay attention to the ebb and flow, the way in which the problem is worse at certain times, better at other times, and that will help you come up with a corrective action plan so that you and the people who work for you can best carry out the organization's desires and responsibilities. But in all of this, do keep in mind the constants. Always treat your people with respect, concern, and empathy. That is an essential skill, a skill that I hope you will keep in mind as I take my special Scheels water bottle here and toast to retailer profitability.